Hello and welcome back to another video on the Football Zone and to another midweek review, reviewing all of this weekend's Premier League and Championship action, and starting off in the Premier League and on Saturday lunchtime with a comfortable 2-0 win for Arsenal against Newcastle. Saka and Martinelli with the goals in the second half, and Arsenal, they were by far the best team here and a really deserved victory. And after that slight blip last week against Liverpool, Arteta's men were back buzzing here. As for Newcastle, under Eddie Howe, they showed no signs of improvement at all, which is a real concern. Moving on, Crystal Palace 1, Aston Villa 2 was the score at Selhurst Park. Matt Targett with the goal in the 15th minute and John McGinn in the 86th minute gave Villa a 2-0 lead. Gerhi did score in the 95th minute to make it maybe a bit tense, but in the end there was nothing to see from it. And they held on to their win, which is a really solid result for them actually. Villa, ever since Gerrard's came in, it's worked well for them, so they'll be buzzing with that. As for Palace though, that's a poor result, they'll be disappointed. It's only hopefully just a blip though. Moving on, it finished Norwich 0, Wolves 0 at Carrow Road. And to be honest, Norwich are actually the better team here. Created far more goal attempts, but in the end, they just didn't have the quality to finish it off. You do wonder if Pukki had his form from the Championship, maybe they would have scored one or two here, but in the end it just didn't work out. But still an encouraging performance from them. They're still in decent form and making a real attempt at this survival stuff. As for Wolves, for the position they're in, this was a disappointing performance. Moving on, Liverpool 4, Southampton 0 was the score at Anfield. Diego Jota with 2 goals in the first half, as well as Thiago and Virgil van Dijk in the second half, sealing the win. And this was dominant from Liverpool. Liverpool at their best against a weaker opposition, and we've seen how good they are, and they really showed it here. Just an outstanding performance. As for Southampton, they were disappointed. It was kind of a free hit. Maybe they would have wanted to keep the score down below 4 at least, but disappointing for them. But as for Liverpool, really solid win. Moving on then, Brighton 0, Leeds 0 was the score at the Amex, and this was kind of a weird game. Brighton, you would probably say, were the slightly better side, but in the end, there wasn't too much to separate the two sides. Leeds were on top at one point and maybe felt like they should have been ahead, but in the end, I'd say draw's probably a better result. For Leeds, going away to Brighton, who's had a really good season so far, it's fair to say, picking up a point, not a bad result at all. But as for Brighton, they are kind of stuck in a little bit of a rut at the moment. But moving on, Manchester City 2, West Ham 1 was the score at the Etihad. Ilkay Gundogan and Fernandinho with the goals for City. Before Lanzini scored a lovely goal in the 94th minute as consolation. The game was suspended at one point. It did look like it was going to get called off, so credit to everyone for finishing the game off in these horrible conditions. But as for City, it's a good win against a solid side in tricky conditions. But for West Ham, 2 wins, 2 losses in a row now, so they'll want to find some form in the week. Moving on, Leicester 4, Watford 2 was the score as Claudio Ranieri returned to the King Power. Maddison gave Leicester the lead in the 16th minute before a penalty from Josh King brought Watford level, but 2 goals from Jamie Vardy gave Leicester a comfortable lead. Dennis pulled one back, but Lookman scored pretty soon after that to seal the win for Leicester. And in the end, it was a comfortable win for Leicester. I think that's, what's that now? Finally a win for them. So it just kind of gets them their form going again. Moving on, Brentford beat Everton 1-0 at the Brentford Community Stadium. The only goal of the game coming in the 24th minute through Ivan Toney. And this is a big win for Brentford, because obviously we know they haven't been in the greatest run of form recently. So that's a big win for them. But Everton, though, it's another really bad result. After what seemed like a fairly decent start under Rafa, it's kind of all going wrong very quickly. And we know with the Liverpool connection, I think things could get pretty toxic there. But moving on, Chelsea 1, Man United 1 was the score at Stamford Bridge. Jadon Sancho gave United a lead in the 50th minute for a goalkeeping mistake, for a defensive mistake from Jorginho, but he made amends in the 69th minute for a penalty. Really bad tackle from Wan-Bissaka, but Chelsea, I guess I'll have to take a point. It's not a dreadful result, they're still on top, but they would have wanted to win this. They were the better side here, I think it's fair to say, but for United it's a great point. Moving on to the Championship now, and on Friday night it finished West Brom 0, Forest 0. Malumbi was sent off for a second yellow in the 70th minute, and in the end, West Brom probably were the better side here, but they just couldn't get the breakthrough. And it kind of sums up their season. Their strikers aren't firing, and they're lucky that Fulham and Brentford kind of slipped up here because they're still trailing quite far behind, but they really do need to pick up the pace, to be honest. Disappointing for them. But moving on then to Saturday's game and starting off with the lunchtime game where it finished Preston 1, Fulham 1. Fulham took the lead through Tim Room in the 15th minute before Ched Evans equalised in the 72nd minute. Controversy over this. I'm really not sure about this one, to be honest. Kind of a bit of an iffy goal. But Preston will take it. It's a solid point for them at home to a really good side. As for Fulham, they'll be disappointed. This is a chance to really go clear at the top. Moving on then to the Liberty Stadium where it finished Swansea 2, Reading 3 at the Liberty Stadium. I think I just said that. But anyway, Jamie Patterson getting Swansea lead in the 3rd minute before Reading replied instantly through Deli Bashiru. Andy Carroll then scored in the 30th minute, lovely goal too, before Ryan Manning equalised, and then just a minute after that, Danny Drinkwater scored. Drinkwater and Carroll scoring for the same team in 2021. Crazy scenes. But what a win for Reading, and great characters to score immediately after the opposition twice in a row. As for Swansea, that's a really disappointing defeat, but hopefully just a blip. Moving on, Luton 1, Cardiff 2 was the score at Kenilworth Road. Colwell, great young talent in the 10th minute, giving them the lead before Clark equalised in the 64th minute. Sean Morrison, however, scored for Cardiff in the 77th minute to give them the win. And that's a big win for Cardiff. Probably their best performance under Morrison so far. And that's what they really needed. 5 points clear of the relegation zone now. As for Luton, 25 points. They're in a bit of a rut at the moment. They need a win. Moving on then to a great result for Blackburn at Bet365 Stadium. Kandra with a goal in the 52nd minute with the win. And to be honest, it's quite an even game. I think Blackburn will be fortunate they won it. Maybe should have been a draw, but it's still a great result for them. And 4th in the league now, just 1 point off West Brom. They're having a really, really great season, Blackburn. As for Stoke in 7th, that's a disappointing result. For sure, but still only a point or two off 3rd, so not the end of the world. Moving on, Peterborough 0, Barnsley 0 was the score at the Western home stadium, and to be honest, Peterborough, they were poor here. As with Barnsley, just a game between two poor sides. Not a lot to separate the two of them. Probably the most exciting moment was the lights going out in the second half, and that says a lot. But then you look at the table, both are kind of getting cut adrift now. Peterborough 4 points off Reading, Barnsley 8. They need to find some form pretty quickly, and that kind of coincides with Hull's upturn in form as they made it 4 wins in a row against Millwall. Goals from George Honeyman and Longman in for Hull, and then Tom Bradshaw also scored 1 for Millwall. But that's a really good win for Hull. They're putting further away from the relegation zone, and great to see this run of form. It's kind of coincided with the formation change, and it just makes sense, to be honest. But for Millwall, it feels like they knock on the door at the playoffs, but then whenever they get close, they just kind of go away again. Really frustrating. But anyway, moving on, Huddersfield 1, Middlesbrough 2 was the score at the Kirklees Stadium. First win for Chris Wilder, and Duncan Watmore with 2 goals in the first half. Great to see him on the score sheet. Kind of feels like he hasn't had as good a season as last season, but great to see him back on the score sheet. Before a Daniels own goal in the 93rd minute gave Huddersfield some hope. In the end, it turned out to be false hope, and this is another really disappointing display for Huddersfield, but for Middlesbrough, really solid and really exciting for Wilder. Moving on, there was a spectacular collapse at the Vitality Stadium as it finished Bournemouth 2, Coventry 2. Anthony and Billing thought they'd give Bournemouth a comfortable win when they put them 2-0 up before Lerner got sent off in the 68th minute, and 2 goals from Gooden and Kane deep into stoppage time sealed a point for Coventry, and great fighting spirit from Coventry to get back into this, and what a great result for them. But as for Bournemouth, they really shouldn't have let this slip. Really, they're just chucking away points at the moment. But anyway, moving on, it finished Birmingham 2, Birmingham 1, Blackpool 0 at St Andrews. Lucas Jurkovic with the only goal of the game in the 81st minute, and that's a really, really solid result for Birmingham. Obviously they've been a bit inconsistent as of late, lots of draws, but that's a big win for them, and it moves them up to 40s. Blackpool will be frustrated, they couldn't hold on to at least a point, but they're still in 11th, they're still having a good season, only 5 points off the playoffs, but they will be frustrated by that. Moving on then, Sheffield United 2, Bristol City 0 was the score at Bramall Lane. Rhian Brewster and Billy Sharp with the goals. for Sheffield United, and to be honest, this was probably one of their best performances of the season, if not the best. They look much more solid under Paul Heckingbottom, even though I just don't get that appointment at all. Seems pretty weird for me. As for Bristol City, once again, another really disappointing performance, and they're sitting really just only above the relegation zone at the moment. It's anxious times for them, really. Derby 1, QPR 2 was the score at Pride Park on Monday in the Championship. Tom Lawrence gave Derby the lead in the 10th minute, however they were cancelled out by 2 second half goals for QPR in through Chris Willock and Andre Gray in stoppage time. And a big win for QPR. Derby not an easy place to go to, so they'll be very happy with that. Up to third now. As for Derby, 4 points from the last two against really tough opposition, so to fall short right at the last two will obviously be frustrating, but still not a bad return from those games. Anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, let me know your thoughts, comments down below, follow me on Twitter, link in the description below for daily football news, and subscribe to the channel on screen, and that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.